future is approaching fast. Don't blink. Welcome to the Auto Brief News, broadcasting live from our studio in Switzerland. I'm Amber Light, your resident telemetry architect, digital visionary, and the person who actually understands how to utilize a software ecosystem without throwing a wrench at it.
And I'm Jim Khana. Keep the shiny side up, mate. I'm the man who spent his morning elbow deep in a bucket of industrial degreaser, trying to explain to my co-host the visceral, undeniable joy of a manual choke on a cold morning.
It's Wednesday, July 8th, 2026. Welcome to the studio, our dedicated midweek space for tearing down the engineering, the software architecture, and the broader industry philosophy of the latest automotive releases. And speaking of your morning activities, Jim, I published a piece on our garage blog today titled The Logic of the Pivot, Kia's Niro Hybrid Command Module. Because while you are literally up to your elbows in the antiquated mechanics of the past, the engineers over at Kia are executing a fascinating, highly calculated maneuver in the present.
I read your brief, Amber. You referred to my mechanical sympathy as an unoptimized variable. You know what's unoptimized? Relying on an over-the-air software update to tell you if your car is allowed to start today. But before we get into a shouting match over the soul of the automobile, let's route a signal to the technical partners who keep the lights on in this studio. This transmission is brought to you by our partners at mynotespace.com. In an era where your telemetry is stored in a cloud server you can't see, touch, or trust, you need a physical backup. If it isn't written down, it's just a rumor. Keep your data analog at mynotespace.com.
All right, let's decrypt the blueprints of the all-new Kia Niro. To understand why this car is so significant, you have to look at the macro-level data of the European market. Since its original launch, the Niro has been a massive success story for Kia, moving over 630,000 units. It was a flexible platform. They offered it as a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid, and a fully electric vehicle. It allowed buyers to choose their level of electrification.
A completely sensible approach. Let the consumer decide if they want to deal with charging cables.
Exactly. But for this refreshed 2027 model year, Kia is executing what I call the necessary transition. In the European market, they are dropping the fully electric Niro entirely. The new Niro is being positioned strictly as a hybrid-only CUV. Kia has decided that their dedicated EV lineup, the EV6, the EV9, and the rest of their bespoke electric architecture, will serve the fully electric customer. The Niro is now a highly efficient, hybrid-only bridge for the everyday driver.
Hold the phone. Are you telling me that a major global manufacturer looked at the relentless, forced march toward full electrification, looked at the fragmented charging infrastructure in Europe, and actually took a step back? They decided to preserve the internal combustion engine in one of their best-selling models. Amber, I might have to send the executives at Kia a handwritten thank you note. It is a rare moment of absolute, pragmatic sanity in an industry that has lost its collective mind.
It's a logical pivot, Jim. As I wrote in the blog, it is a bridge for the unoptimized driver. Not everyone lives in a smart loft with a dedicated 11-kilowatt wall box. By combining hybrid efficiency with familiar usability characteristics, Kia is simplifying everyday mobility.
Unoptimized driver. You make normal people sound like a glitch in the matrix. Let's talk about the hardware they are using to optimize these poor folks. What is actually under the hood?
The modern hybrid powertrain combines a 1.6-liter GDI, gasoline direct injection, petrol engine, with a 32-kilowatt electric motor. The total system output is 138 PS, which translates to about 136 brake horsepower and 265 newton-meters of torque. It is a front-wheel drive platform.
136 horsepower, in a crossover utility vehicle that measures 4.4 meters long. Amber, my ride-on lawnmower has more aggressive power delivery. You are not going to be carving up the Nürburgring with 136 horsepower. If you try to overtake a lorry on the Autobahn, you'll need to mail them a written request 3 business days in advance.
It is not designed for the Nürburgring. It is designed to navigate the urban density of Frankfurt or Milan with absolute thermal and energetic efficiency. But there is a mechanical detail in this powertrain that I know will appease you. They did not pair this hybrid system with a dreaded, continuously variable transmission.
Wait, are you serious? It doesn't have a CVT?
No. The power delivery is managed by a highly responsive 6-speed dual-clutch transmission, the 6DCT.
Okay, credit where credit is due. The absolute bane of the modern hybrid vehicle is the CVT. It sounds like a blender full of marbles. It creates that horrible rubber band acceleration effect, where the engine just drones at 5,000 revolutions per minute, while the car slowly catches up. It is soul-destroying. Putting an actual dual-clutch transmission in a hybrid CUV means you have actual, physical gears. You have mechanical engagement. It provides a crisp, instantaneous torque transfer. That alone elevates the Niro above 90% of its competitors in the segment.
It ensures the engine is always operating at peak thermal efficiency. It is a calculated balance, and they have wrapped that powertrain in a vastly improved exterior shell. Kia's Opposites United design philosophy has been applied here, and it is a massive architectural cleanup.
It looks like a stormtrooper helmet from a 1970s sci-fi movie.
I actually wrote that it nods to the space-age verticality of 70s concept art. The standard LED headlights now adopt a vertical orientation using multifaceted reflector technology. It gives the front a sharp, cohesive visual identity. But the telemetry that really matters is the aerodynamics. The new Niro achieves a drag coefficient of 0.28.
I will admit, a 0.28 drag coefficient on a boxy C-segment crossover is no joke. That takes some serious wind tunnel witchcraft. Most of these high-riding CUVs have the aerodynamic properties of a brick wall. Achieving a 0.28 means they spent hundreds of hours managing the airflow under the chassis and around the wheel wells.
Exactly. And look at the rear tailgate. They have completely sanitized it. The license plate pocket has been removed to create a clean, minimal, monolithic surface that enhances the vehicle's perceived width. The design is lean, purposeful, and devoid of visual noise.
It's a bit sterile for my taste, but I appreciate the lack of fake plastic exhaust vents that plague modern car design. But let's move inside the cabin, because reading the press release made my blood pressure spike.
Welcome to the digital horizon, Jim. The interior architecture has been completely redesigned around a 12.3-inch dual panoramic display powered by Kia's CCNC, the Connected Car Navigation Cockpit. It integrates navigation, vehicle functions, and connectivity services into a single, high-fidelity digital environment. It includes over-the-air software updates, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and a head-up display.
It's a cinema screen bolted to the dashboard. But the part that really got me was your blog post, Amber. You wrote, and I am quoting you directly here, that a physical key fob is a primitive failure point.
It is. The new Niro features Digital Key 2.0. You no longer have to carry a clunky plastic fob in your pocket. Your smartphone acts as the authentication token via ultra-wideband and near-field communication. You walk up to the car, it recognizes your biometric secured device, and it grants you access. It is an elegant, linear solution to the problem of access.
It is a dystopian nightmare. Do you know what a primitive failure point is, Amber? Dropping your smartphone in a puddle. The battery dying at 2 a.m. when it's raining and you are stranded in a dark car park. A software glitch in an iOS update that suddenly decides you don't have authorization to open your own door. A physical key is a mechanical contract between a driver and their machine. It says, I possess the metal object, therefore I command the vehicle. I do not want to negotiate with a server farm just to get into my car.
You are relying on hypothetical extreme edge cases to argue against a massive leap in daily convenience. Digital Key 2.0 allows you to instantly share access with family members remotely without having to physically hand them a key. It is the definition of a mobile ecosystem, and that ecosystem extends to the ADAS suite, the Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
Here we go, the alphabet soup of digital nannies. Let me guess, it's going to beep at me if I look at the scenery.
It is an extensive safety net. The Niro features Forward Collision Avoidance Assist 1.5, which uses camera and radar data to detect vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists. It has Highway Driving Assist 2.0, combining adaptive cruise control with sophisticated lane centering functionality. It even features Intelligent Speed Limit Assist, which reads physical road signs and adjusts your speed accordingly. But the most advanced piece of hardware is the hands-on detection, the HOD, built into the capacitive steering wheel.
Capacitive steering wheels. The absolute worst invention of the decade. Instead of using a torque sensor, where the car knows you are holding the wheel because you are actually providing physical steering input, they use a capacitive layer.
It is vastly superior. The car doesn't just guess if you are paying attention based on steering microcorrections. It knows definitively through electrical conductivity. It confirms active driver engagement flawlessly.
It measures my biorhythms. What if I'm wearing a pair of thick leather driving gloves? Does the car assume I have evaporated? Does it hit the emergency brakes because it can't feel my sweaty palms? A steering wheel is a mechanical tiller, not a touch lamp from 1995. And don't get me started on the remote smart parking assist.
RSPA is incredibly useful in tight European parking structures. You can step out of the vehicle and let the ultrasonic sensors navigate the crossover into the spot for you.
Amber, the car is 4.4 meters long. It is basically the size of a large shoe. It is de-skilling the human operator.
It is reducing the cognitive load of the operator. It allows the human to focus on high-value variables rather than the mundane geometry of a parking bay. The Niro is a masterclass in this kind of logic. Before Jim completely dismantles the concept of driver assistance, let's unspool the telemetry and consult our community. It's time for the weekly poll.
Let's see what horrific digital scenario the helmet mascot is subjected to today.
Every week on our Instagram, represented by our helmet mascot, we pose a highly specific scenario to you, our listeners. This week, you are driving the new 2027 Kia Niro Hybrid. You are navigating the dense, concrete urban jungle of Frankfurt, Germany. The 6-speed dual-clutch transmission is shifting flawlessly. The Highway Driving Assist 2.0 is managing the stop-and-go traffic, and your smartphone is securely resting on the wireless charging pad. What 1970s cassette tape is playing through the CCNC infotainment system?
If I am sitting in a crossover that only produces 136 horsepower, and the car is basically driving itself through German traffic using radar and capacitive touch sensors, I need a soundtrack that injects some actual aggression back into my life. I need something that fights the machine. I am choosing The Clash, London Calling. It is raw, it is rebellious, and it is the exact opposite of a connected car navigation cockpit. It's analog fury to counteract the digital numbness.
A purely reactionary choice, Jim. Very on brand. However, I am looking at the systemic optimization. The vehicle is a highly structured, efficient, and deeply synthesized ecosystem operating in a modern European metropolis. Therefore, I am selecting Gary Newman's The Pleasure Principle, specifically the track Cars. It is a seminal piece of 1979 electronic synth pop. It is precise, it is calculated, and the synthesizer arrangements sound exactly like a high-voltage hybrid system managing its thermal efficiency. Let us know what's your choice in the comment of the Instagram post.
Gary Newman. You picked a song literally called Cars, performed on a synthesizer. You are nothing if not literal, Amber.
I prefer to call it highly focused curation. All right, the data has been gathered. It is time to render our final verdicts. The garage rating. Green light, amber light, or red light? Jim, you've been mocking the horsepower and the digital key for 20 minutes. Let's have your rating on the Kia Niro Hybrid.
I despise capacitive steering wheels. The idea of my car reading my electrical conductivity makes my skin crawl. I hate the loss of a physical key, and 136 horsepower is barely enough to get out of its own way. My instinct is to throw a red light at it. However, Kia did two things here that saved this car. First, they bucked the industry trend and kept the internal combustion engine alive by making it a dedicated hybrid. They recognized that the EV infrastructure isn't ready for everyone. Second, they gave it a mechanical 6-speed dual-clutch gearbox instead of a droning CVT. For the pragmatism of the pivot and the mechanical gears, I will elevate this to an amber light.
An amber light from the analog soul for a highly digitized CUV. I will take that as a massive victory. For me, my verdict is incredibly straightforward. The logic of this vehicle is impeccable. It doesn't pretend to be a track monster. It is a refined, aerodynamically efficient, deeply connected mobile ecosystem. The CCNC interface is brilliant. The 0.28 drag coefficient is a triumph of packaging, and the safety suite is class-leading. It is the exact definition of the necessary transition. It is a confident, glowing, green light from me.
Well, at least it isn't another 3-ton electric tank. I can sleep slightly better tonight.
That wraps up this episode of The Studio. You can read my full blog post, The Logic of the Pivot, Kia's Niro Hybrid Command Module, and explore the full technical specifications of the 2027 Niro in our garage archive at theautobrief.news.
And be sure to sign up for our Friday newsletter, The Telegram. I'll be writing a 2,000-word manifesto on why the physical key fob is the last bastion of automotive freedom, typed exclusively on a machine that requires actual mechanical force.
I look forward to scanning those ink-stained pages. I'm Amber Light. The future is approaching fast. Don't blink.
And I'm Jim Khana. Keep the shiny side up.